Eric Adams is in hot water, and with so many details, calls for resignation, and even potential litigation, here's everything you need to know. Before we get into the show, please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment along to help boost this video in the algorithm, and please share this video with someone who you think would appreciate a full explainer on this story. So let's start with the corruption charges. In September of 2024, New York City Mayor Eric Adams was charged with conspiracy. He allegedly accepted campaign contributions from foreign nationals, namely Turkish officials. According to an indictment from the Biden Department of Justice, Eric Adams solicited benefits from foreign governments, including money and luxury travel, and then used his connections within the New York Fire Department to expedite the opening of a Manhattan skyscraper belonging to foreign nations. He then allegedly attempted to conceal this conduct and hide the receipts of his alleged wrongdoings from the public and from law enforcement. Adams was also charged with 1 count of wire fraud, 2 counts of soliciting campaign contributions from foreign nationals, as stated, and 1 count of soliciting and accepting a bribe. These accusations date back to 2014, and the alleged official act in the indictment took place before Adams was elected mayor. When these accusations were initially revealed, it was kind of presumed in conservative media circles that the DOJ's indictment, the Biden DOJ's indictment, was at least partially politically motivated. Eric Adams was a vocal critic of the Biden administration's handling of the migrant crisis, specifically how it handled the crisis in New York City, and that was arguably one of the biggest campaign issues for voters in the 2024 election, although it is important to note that Eric Adams was still an ardent supporter of President Biden. On February 10, 2025, Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove ordered the Department of Justice to drop the charges against Adams. So the charges were coming from the Department of Justice, but prosecuted in the Southern District of New York, or the SDNY office. Now, it is worth noting that Emil Bove used to work at SDNY, so he has some insight into the operations of that specific office. At the time of announcement that the charges against Adams had been dropped, the DOJ did not say they were dropping the case because the evidence against Eric Adams was non-existent. What they said at the time, the day of the announcement, was that they were dropping the case because it was hindering the upcoming election process in New York City. On February 19th, 9 days later, Chad Mizell, he's the chief of staff for the DOJ under the Trump administration, he elaborated on the DOJ's rationale for dropping the case. He said that upon reading the case against Adams, the SDNY's legal theory of public corruption appears to be a stretch. He said in a thread, quote, "Every time DOJ has pursued expansive theories of public corruption, the department has been rebuked by the Supreme Court. Put simply, DOJ's track record of public corruption cases at the Supreme Court is abysmal." He went on to say, additionally, the amount of resources it takes to bring a prosecution like this is incredible. Thousands and thousands of man-hours. Those resources could be better used arresting violent criminals to keep New York safe or prosecuting gangs and cartel members. Long story short, the DOJ believes it has bigger problems than going after Adams when statistically their chances at success are slim. There is firm opposition to these charges being dropped overwhelmingly from New York Democrats. Governor Kathy Hochul is considering the removal of Eric Adams after repeatedly calling for his resignation. On February 18th, Hochul met with prominent leaders, including Representative Hakeem Jeffries and City Council Speaker Adrian Adams, about utilizing the city's charter to remove Adams from his position. Procedurally, the New York City Charter outlines a court-like process for the governor to remove the mayor of New York. Basically, what would happen is the governor would bring charges against Adams, he would respond, and a body would decide whether the governor has standing to remove Eric Adams. Now, it's important to note these removal powers have never been used in the city's history, so this is unprecedented territory. Kathy Hochul is certainly not the only vocal Democrat opposed to Eric Adams. To no surprise, nearly every one of his primary opponents in the upcoming mayoral election has called for his ousting, alongside Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who claimed that Eric Adams should have resigned when the corruption charges were initially brought. Now, I think a fair question to ask here is, why did the protests against Eric Adams and the resignation calls get distinctly louder after the DOJ dropped the case as opposed to when the DOJ unveiled its case. There is a theory that the Trump administration and Eric Adams engaged in a quid pro quo, or a tit for tat, which has upped the ante, calling for this prosecution. On February 14th, Adams went on Fox and Friends with Tom Homan, and those who believe there's a quid pro quo feel this clip is proof of their beliefs.
And he doesn't come through.
You're up early anyway.
If he doesn't come through, I'll be back in New York City,
Right.
and we won't be sitting on the couch. I'll be in his office, up his butt, saying, "Where the hell is the agreement we came to?" So,
I want ICE to deliver. And I want ICE to deliver. We're going to deliver for the safety of the people of this city.
Some people believe Homan's reference to the, quote, agreement we came to was a reference to a quid pro quo. Others believe this isn't out of character, as Adams has long been in favor of federal assistance in the migrant crisis in New York City. In light of this narrative, which again has yet to be proven true or false, 7 federal prosecutors assigned to this case resigned in defiance of the DOJ's decision. Shortly thereafter, 4 deputy mayors for Eric Adams resigned as well. People on the right, including myself, have questioned why the resignations for Adams' staff members happened when the case was dropped. It's confusing that deputy mayors wouldn't resign when the corruption charges were unveiled against him back in September if they believed Adams wasn't innocent. On February 19th, a federal judge heard from the DOJ why it believes the SDNY should not prosecute Adams. Judge Dale Ho must decide whether to grant the DOJ's request to dismiss the case. Most legal analysts seem to believe that Judge Ho will grant the government's motion to toss out the charges. Others believe that if the quid pro quo between Adams and the Trump administration exists, it would be in Adams' best interest for Ho to dismiss the government's motion and force the case to proceed. Common Clause, a nonpartisan organization focused on U.S. election integrity, filed a motion urging Judge Ho to appoint a special prosecutor to investigate and charge Adams if he chooses to grant the federal government's motion. Judge Ho appears to have a political bias as well. He was appointed to the SDNY District Court in 2021 by Joe Biden and has argued that the Republican Party is infected by a, quote, anti-democratic virus. He was also the former director of the left-wing ACLU. People on the right suggest the judge's vocal opposition to the Trump administration may play a role in his decision. Please be sure to check out the comments for updates on the story as the judge's decision is revealed. That's everything we know about this case thus far. I want to shout out Ground News for helping make this episode possible. When I was prepping for the show, I used the Ground News website and app. It combines news from all different sides of the political spectrum to give you the facts and see where the media is exaggerating, sensationalizing, or underreporting news. When you use my link in the description, you'll get 40% off the Vantage subscription, which, by the way, I pay for out of my own pocket, and it's worth it. Head over to check.ground.news/Chrissy to get informed on the go. If you're a real one and you made it to the end of today's show, will you drop the city emoji as an homage to New York City? Thanks, friends. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you heard, please be sure to subscribe and leave a comment about how beautiful, intelligent, and funny I am. And if you want more content, click right over here for more videos and clips of my show. I'll see you back here next time. Bye!